Okay. My name is Carla Wortham, and I'm Executive Vice President of the Fair Housing Council. And I just want to address the questions that were raised to us about our activities in the Neenah community. As you might well expect, the pandemic has affected fair housing work, as has affected our entire society. We know that people, because of the pandemic, were unable to look for housing for a while. We also know that because of the moratorium on evictions, people weren't moving, and some forms of discrimination weren't happening as they may typically because of the moratorium. But we were told to look at years that were not being outlined, that the pandemic would not have impacted our work. And when I looked at a contract, the current contract and last year's contract occurred while the pandemic was in effect. And so I looked at the full year that we were working without contending with the pandemic, and that was June of 2018 to May of 2019. During that time, we were contacted by 13 individuals in Neenah who were seeking assistance because they believed that they had encountered a situation that was in violation of the fair housing laws. 10 of those complaints, after talking with the person and working with them, were not fair housing complaints, but a part of our contract with Neenah is to do referrals of non-fair housing complaints. And we did referrals to agencies, we typically do them to agencies like the Department of Consumer Protection, Legal Action of Wisconsin, Tenants Research Center, Options for Independence. So those are the types of referrals we would do. During that time period, we did technical assistance to an individual who was seeking questions about clarification of the law. Technical assistance is another program component we provide to Neenah when people have questions about what does the law cover, what are my rights, what are my responsibilities, what are issues of hate crimes. We've had several questions this past contract year about the issues of hate crime in housing. During the program year of June 2018 to May 2019, we also conducted 3 fair housing presentations, which is a regular part of our services. We also provided a training to housing providers, that's rental managers and to landlords. And as Bill said, it's a proactive way to ensure that people are aware, housing providers are aware of what their rights and their responsibilities are under the fair housing laws. And we did that in the city of Neenah for housing providers in Neenah. During that year, we also made contact with 35 organizations in Neenah and provided almost 700 brochures and flyers in Spanish, Hmong, and English for distribution to their clients. Our work continues in Neenah. Even today, we are working with a resident of Neenah who encountered a situation that may be a violation of fair housing laws, and we're providing assistance to her. Under our contract thus far this year, we've provided almost 500 brochures and flyers, again, in English, Spanish, and Hmong, to advocacy agencies and social service agencies in Neenah that can be provided to individuals. Again, it's a proactive way so people understand both their rights and responsibilities under the fair housing laws. Over the past 30 years, we were council members, since we have actually had our satellite office there. Prior to that, we established the Fair Housing Center of the Fox Valley. That was back in 1983 or 84, I believe. But since that time, fair housing services have been provided to the city of Neenah through our satellite office, which is based in Appleton. We are still working remotely. We've not had anyone in our offices since March 13th of last year. And that coincided with the expiration of our lease in our Appleton office. For the past 20 years, our ability to supplement and to subsidize funding in these communities through the satellite offices has diminished considerably.
There have been times when we have had to use grants that we receive for activities in Milwaukee or in other parts of the state directed to this area because there has to be a fair housing presence here. So we have actually use some of our federal grants to supplement funds. We receive $11,000 a year from the city of Neenah for the past, I don't know how many years, but that diminishes over time as far as its buying power. So the cost effectiveness of having an office is what we look at, and that is where we put it in Appleton. Appleton provides slightly much more, well, not slightly, but much more funding for us, and it's much more cost effective to have an office in Appleton as opposed to any of the other satellite communities that we serve. So it's a lot easier for us to supplement funds given what Appleton provides than to supplement funds for office space, internet, telephone, travel, the things that it change, and a lot of the things that it takes to make an office work in a local community. So that is why we really expect for the next several months, hopefully sooner rather than later, to reestablish our office in Appleton. It's much better to have a local presence, a local person who knows the area, who's familiar with the people in the community. And we also have an advisory committee that we will all be reappointing for this service area to ensure that we are hearing from the citizens who live here as opposed to us trying to identify issues that they need to have resolved. We have the citizens through our advisory committee advise us of what they think we should be looking at. So that's a very brief overview of the services we provide, and we'll sit through other questions here.
All right, well, thank you both very much. We didn't have a great connection, unfortunately, so it was a little hard to hear some of the statistics in that, but maybe what you could do for us is you could put us a small email with those statistics and get them to us. That would be helpful for us, just because we didn't have the greatest connection, and I apologize for that. So right now, I'm just going to ask a couple of very easy questions. I don't need a long, lengthy answer. So how many caseworkers or how many investigators do we have in the Fox Valley currently?
The investigators, were you asking how many people conduct investigations?
Yeah.
Investigators, we have about 75 individuals who investigate complaints statewide. We operate much, I'm a former police officer, I'm a former police sergeant. I understand that your county sheriff is based in Oshkosh, so we don't have a county presence in the city of Neenah. So we operate using individuals who are volunteers from throughout the state to conduct our investigations. So they are doing every case from Stevens Point to Beloit to La Crosse, and we've operated in that fashion for the last 4 years that I've been here. We've had over almost 800 cases go to court, federal, state, or local court. We have lost 8 of those given the types of investigations that we conduct. So the effective methods that we use and the people that we use conducting those investigations have been very effective in resolving complaints of housing discrimination.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming tonight. If you could just put together a short email with some of these things that you talked about tonight, I will distribute it to the council. I think that'll be very helpful. I would respectfully ask that you step up your game here in Neenah, that your profile, the educational opportunities, whether it be Rotary Club, Kiwanis, those types of things, because there's no one in this community who gets out as much as I do and knows this community, and I don't hear about the Fair Housing Council enough, and I don't think people know about it in our community. I've heard Appleton mentioned a lot, and I will tell you, I'm not interested in funding Appleton. They got their own money. I want to be helpful to your organization and group, because I think overall they can do some good things for the people that need it. I don't want to get too much into this, but because of who I am and the mayor and I have happenstance to sometimes refer people to your organization when they have problems with discrimination and with other housing issues. I've been somewhat surprised that my last 3 people I've sent there, and I sent people there as a legislator for many years, and I sent people there as mayor. My last 3, I'm 0 for 3 with your organization, even helping them, taking on their plight. The last case, which I know we can't talk specifics and we can't talk about it, but I think clearly if there was ever an egregious wrong of a minority by a landlord, that was it. And she came back to me and said that you guys would not help her. And that has my dander up a little bit. I'll be perfectly honest and blunt with you. So if we're going to help fund your organization, I just ask that you try and step up your profile here in Neenah, and I would appreciate that. And we'll see how it goes this year to next year. I hope you get that local presence in the community and get a place now when this COVID's over. And I want to thank you for taking the time out tonight to come visit us.
Thank you. And I'd just like to say, Mayor, that we want to make clear that all the complaints that come to us, while they may be unfair, they're not illegal. So we have to also protect the rights of the landlords. So we have to ferret out complaints that may not fall under fair housing law. And in those instances where you're 0 for 3, there may be instances where those individuals have complaints that are, or allegations that are violations, maybe violations or something that is unfair, but don't fall under the fair housing laws. And we enforce fair housing laws. So where an individual is being evicted, or I'm using this generically because I know this wasn't the case there, an eviction, failure to make repairs, someone is trying to identify something that the landlord has done that they feel is unfair. That may be unfair, but if it's not illegal, there's nothing we can do about it. That's why we, in fact, try to keep that connection with the resources and refer them to them and assist.
Or it may fall under tenant landlord law, or a different law. I mean, we like to do referrals then to an appropriate agency when it's not a fair housing violation, but maybe another violation of a different law.
Yeah, so we do appreciate your support, and we will keep you posted, and hopefully we can do this in person, and then we won't have the situation where you can't hear what we're saying so well. We appreciate the time. We also appreciate your support, and thank you for taking the time to listen to us.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight. Sorry it took a little bit longer than we kept you longer than I had hoped for, but we appreciate you coming and answering the questions. Anyone else have anything? Okay, so there is a motion and a second. Anyone else on any of the other portions of this motion? If not, all in favor of approval of resolution number 2021-06 for the 2021 Community Development Block Grant and authorize entering in agreements for the activities subject to approval by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development will signify by saying aye as a roll call is called by the clerk. All opposed say no.
Alderperson Erickson?
Aye.
Stevenson?
Aye.
Boyette?
Aye.
Bates?
Aye.
Lang?
Aye.
Landrum?
Aye.
Borchert?
Aye.
Hillstrom?
Aye.
And Steele?
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion passes. Thank you all very much for joining us tonight.
Item number 2, the committee recommends council accept petition for annexation number 221 of 29.75 acres located at CTH Wooden Shoe Road in the town of Vinland. And this is to be acted on after the recommendation from the Plan Commission. Item number 3, the committee recommends council approve the 2020 operating budget carry forwards to 2021, and I so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Alderman Borchert. Any comments or questions regarding the carry forwards? Seeing none, all in favor vote aye, all opposed vote no. As the clerk calls your name, please.
Alderperson Stevenson,
Aye.
Boyette,
Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
Lang,
Aye.
Landrum,
Aye.
Borchert,
Aye.
Hillstrom,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
and Erickson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion passes.
Item number 4, the committee recommends council approve the revisions to policy 2008-1 compensatory time, and I so move. That's that.
That's a tough one.
There's a
That's a
motion.
tough one.
There's a motion. I'm not going to repeat it. Is there a second?
Sorry.
There's a second by Alderman Borchert. Any discussion? All in favor, vote aye. All opposed, vote no. As a roll call, clerk calls your name, please.
Alderperson Boyette,
Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
Lang,
Aye.
Landrum,
Aye.
Borchert,
Aye.
Hillstrom,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
and Stevenson.
Aye.
That motion also passes.
Item number 5, the committee recommends council approve the update to the employee handbook regarding separation from employment, and I so move.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson, seconded by Alderman Borchert. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no. As the clerk calls your name, please.
Alderperson Bates,
Aye.
Lang,
Aye.
Landrum,
Aye.
Borchert,
Aye.
Hillstrom,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Stevenson,
Aye.
and Boyette.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That motion passes.
Item number 6, the committee recommends council approve the temporary modification of the City Hall House of Operation as outlined in option 1 from Memorial Day to Labor Day 2021 as a trial period, which will be reviewed in the fall. And I so move.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson, seconded by Alderman Borchert. Alderman Bates. Go ahead, Alderman Bates.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. My question is, I looked at option 2, and I was wondering if perhaps in the fall we would look at that one as well, because it would be interesting for us to have hours that are a little bit later on one night of the week, as opposed, I mean, you've never had a chance at City Hall to go in after 5 o'clock. So I thought that option number 2 would have been interesting to do at another time.
Okay. I think this whole thing is going to be reviewed in the fall, so that's a good, and we might be able to even talk about that before the fall, but a good suggestion. We'll take it under consideration. Alderman Stevenson.
Yeah, I guess I'll respond to Alderperson Bates's comments. I know there were differing opinions, not disagreements, but differing opinions between option 1 and 2, between the mayor and some staff, and even in committee, there was discussion about 1 or 2, and neither the staff members nor the mayor were passionate about which option to trial. And after in the spirit of unity and consensus, we decided to try option 1 first, and if it didn't work, then we might try option 2. So I mean, you talk about good government. That meeting was like a kumbaya session. People were giving back options because they didn't want to offend anyone. So it was. Because Alderperson Bates, a number of members of staff or the council had the very similar positions, and we settled on trying 1 first, and we'll try 2 probably either after this one or next summer.
All right. Seeing no other questions, all in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no. As the clerk calls your name, please.
Alderperson Lang,
Aye.
Landrum,
Aye.
Borchert,
Aye.
Hillstrom,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Stevenson,
Aye.
Boyette,
Aye.
and Bates.
That motion passes.
Aye.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I jumped the gun there, Marge, sorry. That motion passes, and I just would like to thank our HR director for spending a lot of time on this, a lot of work on this, so coming up with something that we can try and hopefully have a good thing for a lot of reasons for our employees and still provide the quality service that we are accustomed to here in the city. So thank you. Alderman Bates, what do you have?
I was going to ask if, besides putting it online, could you also put something in the doorways? Because if someone didn't look online before they stopped into City Hall and they can't open the door.
I already talked to Joni about good signage on the door, along with social media and along with website and things like that. But good signage on the door is going to be important. Thank you. Also, I apologize. So then also item number C, Alderman Boyette.
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting regularly, Neenah Menasha, Joint and Finance and Personnel Committee meeting of March 23rd, 2021. Minutes can be found on the city website. The committee recommends that council approve the purchase of two 2022 Ford Transit Connect utility vans from Bergstrom Automotive and related equipment for a total price not to exceed $61,000. And I would so move.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Boyette, seconded by Alderman Stevenson. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor will vote aye, all opposed will vote no. As the clerk calls the roll, please.
Alderperson Lundrum.
Aye.
Borchert.
Aye.
Hillstrom.
Aye.
Steele.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
Boyette.
Aye.
Bates.
Aye.
And Lang.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you both for your reports. Item number 10, special committees, liaisons, the regular plan commission meeting on March 30th, 2021. Council Representative Lang.
Thank you, Mayor. The minutes can be found on the city website. Commission recommends council approve annexation number 221, ordinance number 2021-05. And the property also receive an R1 single-family residence district zoning classification, and I would so move.
Second.
There's a motion by Alderman Lang, seconded by Alderman Stevenson to approve annexation number 2021, ordinance number 2021-05. Any discussion? Comments, questions? If not, all in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no. As the clerk calls the roll, please.
Alderperson Borchert.
Aye.
Hillstrom.
Aye.
Steele.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
Boyette.
Aye.
Bates.
Aye.
Lang.
Aye.
And Lundrum.
Aye.
Motion carries 9-0.
That motion passes. Board of Public Works meeting of March 30th, 2021. Vice Chairman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. The minutes can be found on the city website. As an information-only item, the board approved pay estimate number 3 for Arrowhead Park Phase 1A Carriage Trail Shoreline Project to Soper Grading and Excavating LLC in Oshkosh in the amount of $75,706.05. The board approved change order number 1 for Arrowhead Phase 1A Carriage Trail Shoreline Project to Soper Grading and Excavating LLC for increased quantities of erosion control, stone aggregate, topsoil, and seeding in the amount of $76,279.25. As a council action item, the board recommends council approve or award contract for the Doty Court Development Project to Poblaki Paving Corp., West Allis, Wisconsin, in the amount of $160,629, and to authorize staff to purchase owner-provided equipment. And I would so move.
Second. There's a motion by Alderman Bates, seconded by Alderman Hillstrom. Comments or questions? Alderman Boyette.
Just curious why we're wanting to purchase their equipment.
Director Kading's on the line. I think we talked about it. They believe they can, by purchasing themselves, they can actually save money and kind of eliminate the middleman and purchase the equipment necessary. Michael, you have anything to add?
Property taxes. Or
I believe the question was, why are we doing direct owner purchase? Mayor Crawford, you're absolutely correct. By doing the purchasing ourselves, we will save dollars and cents, and then we'll provide it to the contractor for installation.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Alderman Stevenson.
Yeah, I know I saw it somewhere, but what was the budgeted amount for this?
Approximately 10,000.
$10,000, and it's coming in at 160,000?
No, the total budget, Mike. Total budget for the project.
It was $180,000 was budgeted, $160,000 for the contract to Papaki,
right.
$10,000 for the owner purchased
Right.
Materials or supplies, and then there was $6,000 in design and engineering and bid specification documents.
Right, and so, yeah, thank you, I knew I saw that.
Slightly under budget.
So Mike, another reason, correct me if I'm wrong, for the owner purchase of materials is we save sales tax?
We save sales tax, we save, the contractor is going to mark it up 10 to 15%.
Right.
So that knocks off those prices, and then we get exactly what we want, and then it gets installed by the contractor.
Thank you, Mike.
You bet.
Why do we pay sales tax?
We don't pay sales tax because we're tax
Oh,
exempt.
I thought he said we did. We
No.
don't pay sales tax, correct?
We shouldn't.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
I mean, the state of Wisconsin has kind of did that a little bit more than they used to also for the same reason. They can do it and save the sales tax, which goes to the
well,
state
yeah,
of
which they pay-
Wisconsin and
They pay
then,
themselves.
and then comes back hopefully to us in many ways. But yeah, okay, thank you. So there's a motion and a second. All in favor will vote aye. All opposed will vote no. As the clerk calls your name, please.
Alderperson Hillstrom,
Aye.
Steele,
Aye.
Erickson,
Aye.
Stevenson,
Aye.
Boyette,
Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
Lang,
Aye.
Lundrum,
Aye.
Borchert,
Aye.
motion carries.
That motion passes. Next are reports from committees and commissions. The Landmarks Commission report, Alderperson Lang, you have anything?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The Landmarks Commission met on March 24th at City Hall and virtually. We reviewed the city's long-range comprehensive plan as it relates to preservation and history within the community and the value that is placed on that moving forward. We also looked at the Menasha Landmarks Commission's page on properties within their city, including a lost landmark section, and we discussed the possibility of doing that for this city, for the City of Neenah landmarks page. We were unfortunately not able to secure the Voyager canoe for this year's Neenah Menasha Intertribal Powwow on September 18th, but we're looking into the possibility of narrated wagon rides of Wisconsin Avenue on that day instead. That would focus on the historic homes along that drive. Additionally, we reviewed a positioning plan created by Michelle Dano that offered suggestions on how to collaboratively have the Landmarks Commission, the Historical Society, and other interested parties work together for the preservation and promotion of history in the community. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Sustainable Neenah Committee, Alderperson Borchert.
Thank you, Mayor. I was not in attendance at the meeting, waiting upon the minutes, but there was discussion again about no mow May, as well as designating things to be displayed by the Sustainable Committee at the Farmers Market this summer.
Okay, thank you. The bid board report, Alderperson Lang again.
Thank you, Mayor. The bid board met on March 16th at City Hall. The district walkthrough by the Maintenance Committee will be on June 9th. A sign grant request for 214 West Wisconsin Avenue was approved. Those two businesses within 214 West Wisconsin will be a coffee roaster and a cheesecake bakery. The bid will not have an annual meeting this year due to the pandemic, but provided a downtown 2020 year in review pamphlet that is available to all. I have a copy of it here, if anybody would like to look at that. There was another downtown scavenger hunt that was a great way to get people walking throughout the district in search of spring-themed ends. The gift certificate sales over the past year have far exceeded expectations, and a gift certificate rewards day is scheduled for May 1st in conjunction with the event in downtown that day. And then another gift certificate sale is going to take place on June 12th. So check out the bid webpage or future Neenah page for further information. That concludes my report.
All right, thank you very much for your report. Go ahead, Director Hayes.
I do not have the time yet on that.
Normally it's early in the morning, but yeah,
Yeah, it's usually
we'll get it.
like 7:30 or something.
We'll get it from someone. Okay, thank you. Alderperson Hillstrom, do you have any report from Mahler? I don't know.
Yeah, I
You were
asked for a
able to
copy
attend.
of the minutes, but they never sent it to me, so
Okay.
I have no report.
All right, we'll get that next time. Then we will move on to the last page, presentation of petitions. There are no petitions I'm aware of. Any council directives anyone would like to discuss? Is there any unfinished business? Under new business, we have some housekeeping stuff to do. Seeing no unfinished business, we'll move on to, we already did item number A. We'll move on to item number B. Alderperson Steele's proposal of ordinance number 2021-08, creating a temporary mask order for the city of Neenah. Alderman Steele?
Yes, I mean, obviously, we've discussed this a fair amount already. I really felt compelled to present this to the city of Neenah. As you all know, I'm a physician. My job literally is to protect the health and save lives of my patients. My patients happen to be virtually all pregnant women. We know that they're at higher risk, pregnant women are at higher risk of getting severely ill and dying of COVID should they get it. So it's of great personal interest to me. And although the availability of vaccines is giving us all hope, masks still remain the best way we have to reduce the spread of this disease. We are facing new variants. We're looking at our neighbor, Michigan, who they are already struggling with these, and we know that these variants are already in our state and that we're seeing more and more of them. The state Supreme Court chose to rescind the mask mandate, not for any reasons regarding public health whatsoever, but because they felt that the legislature should have the authority to do that and not the governor. And unfortunately, the legislature is not choosing to act to protect public health, and so therefore it is leaving it up to municipalities like ours to protect public health. I think mask mandates do encourage the public to follow basic health measures. As Doug Guerin said, we are not looking to the police department to be out trying to enforce mask mandates. The health department, I think, has been doing a very good job. I read Chief Olson's letter, and I respectfully understand that it's a tragedy when any police officer gets killed, but he was quoting the loss of 4 police officers' lives, and we've lost over 500,000 people in this country to this disease, and it is not slowing down adequately yet. So I'm not just here talking about those people who have already died, but talking about those people who are going to die, and the people who are going to die unnecessarily if we don't do everything we can to protect people and reduce the spread of this disease.
Could you make sure you speak in your mic?
I'm sorry.
There
I
are
thought I
people
was.
saying they can't hear you online.
Oh, okay. Is there any, okay. Should I repeat any part of that, or should I just,
Well,
I'm just about done, but.
That's okay.
what I wanted
Somebody
to
just
say.
posted, so I thought I'd let you know.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry if there's specific things that I said and anyone wants to question me, I'm happy to talk about it again. Anyway, I am going to ask for a vote on this tonight. I think this is an urgent measure that requires our attention. I am concerned about the delay if we were to send this to committee and then committee has to send it back to the council. I think, yes, this is, the council, I'm sure, has rarely suspended rules to allow a vote on something on the same night, but I think this is a situation which demands that kind of action by the council. And so I would respectfully request that we suspend rules to allow a vote tonight.
So the council, you can do it one of two. If the motion is made now, This mic doesn't work. I don't know if that was a formal motion, but if the motion is made now and it's seconded, the vote would happen immediately. Regardless of the outcome of the vote, the council could choose to have the conversation still tonight, again, regardless of the vote. If the vote obviously was not in favor of overturning the rules, then if you wanted to have discussion tonight, you could. Otherwise, you could also make the decision to send it back to committee or council to be voted on. Yep, so the motion is to suspend the rules and allow a vote tonight. That would be the motion being made. So the vote, again, I don't know if that was a formal motion, but if there is a motion in a second to suspend the rules.
At this point, it's not a formal motion. Ask Alderman Steele.
I would like to make that formal motion.
You would like to make,
Yes, thank you.
so you would like to make that motion right now?
Yes, please.
Okay. Alderman Steele moves to suspend the rules and take up ordinance number 2021-08, creating a temporary mask order for the city of Neenah at this time. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second.
At this point, the vote is only whether or not to suspend the rules so that tonight, at some point, you will vote on the actual ordinance. So this is not an approval of the ordinance or a non-approval of the ordinance. It's only approving whether or not to suspend the rules so that after the discussion, you can vote tonight on the ordinance.
Point of order. I think if the rules are suspended, there would need to be a motion to pass ordinance 2021-08 and a second, which would then allow discussion.
Correct. I just meant this is not voting on the substance of the ordinance. It's just to suspend the rules.
Right? Non-debatable motion, correct? Correct. All in favor of suspension of the rules will vote aye. All opposed will vote no, as the clerk calls your name.
Alderperson Steele.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Stevenson.
No.
Boyette.
No.
Bates.
Aye.
Lang.
No.
Landrum.
Aye.
Borchert.
No.
Hillstrom.
Welcome back.
I'll vote aye.
Pardon me?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-4.
That motion passes 5-4 to suspend the rules and allow it to be taken up at this time if there's a motion. Correct? Or just discuss it.
Well, you can't discuss if you don't have something on the floor to discuss. I would argue vehemently.
I would like to make a motion that we pass the ordinance 2021-08, creating a temporary mask order for the city of Neenah.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Now we can have discussion, answer questions, those types of things. Some of those were still left over from earlier tonight. I'd like to just start out, because the question has come up numerous times with regards to enforcement. Chief Olson, could you expound on your letter to the council and how you see enforcement happening in this community or not happening?
Yes, Mayor. From the Neenah Police Department standpoint, there's been a lot of talk of defunding the police in the last year. And part of that came from the police have been thrown at, over decades of, been thrown at all kinds of problems, such as mental health problems. And now we became the mental health police and civil dispute police. And now nationwide, people want us to be the mass police and use. And I'm not saying I'm against or for mass. I'm just talking as a police chief here. You watch videos of police being ridiculed all over America because they enter churches or businesses because they've been called for masks. And I understand that Doug's organization at the health department, they're responsible for this. But when people have a problem, they don't call the health department when there's somebody who enters a store or a business or anything else with a mask. They call the police department. And not only are we already short-staffed, now we're going to add more calls for the police department, and we're going to interject police into non-police matters. Because not wearing a mask is not a police matter. That's a medical problem or health department problem, not a police problem. And it's not that the police department doesn't want to help. That's not the case. We should not be the mental health police. We shouldn't be the civil dispute police and now the mask police and everything else. So now we're adding more problems and we're gaining more distrust from citizens that we're trying to build. We're trying to build trust with our citizens. We're trying to help our citizens. And now we're going to break more trust with citizens because ultimately we will be the ones who get called to the business when somebody doesn't wear a mask. And now we're putting our officers in very poor situations. And me as a police chief, I don't want that to happen. I don't want our officers to get injured. I don't want citizens to get injured because people who don't want to wear masks or will wear masks, it doesn't matter what side of the fence they're on, they're very adamant about it. And now we're interjecting police into non-police problems. And I see that as a severe problem that could hurt our police department and the city of Neenah.
Chief, you're a member of a group of Winnebago County. You've met with other law enforcement agencies from around the county. Is this a shared response?
This is. I had a meeting with all the area chiefs, and I'm not going to say any of the chiefs' names that are for or against, but the majority, if not all, are against our agencies enforcing masks ordinances, and that's why you don't see citations being issued. And again, it's not because we're for or against masks. It just shouldn't be a law enforcement matter.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Steele, or do you have something you'd like to interject?
Yeah, I clarify something because I understand that there's been some confusion. This ordinance, Alderman provided the Oshkosh ordinance, which is what this ordinance is based off of. There is no enforcement for police. This enforcement mechanism is the same enforcement mechanism that was used by the state of Wisconsin when the mask mandate was in effect. So the enforcement lies entirely with the health department. So to the chief's point, if someone calls the police department under this ordinance, the police response would be, you need to call the health department, the same way it's been for the past year. So this does not change the enforcement from what it has been under the state's role. Just to be clear, added enforcement for the police department.
But to your point, Chief, the impact will be someone will call the police department. Are you concerned that someone will call the police department? You'll say that's not our jurisdiction, call the health department, and then that's going to kind of tarnish the police department and create an adversarial role in some cases?
Correct. We're in a lose-lose position because if we tell them to contact the health department, we're upsetting whoever's calling. If we don't respond, we're going to upset the other party or vice versa. We're not going to be able to make any of the parties happy, and ultimately someone could be injured. If we don't respond, maybe it escalates, and then we didn't respond quick enough when we would have responded if it was an actual police matter.
Part of your concern is you might be responding for something even escalated situation you feel you've kind of shared with me.
Right. It's not too often that someone says, I'm going to call the police, whether we show up or not, that it does not escalate the situation because the temperature has already risen and now we're not going to respond, but now the blood pressure and everything is going on, and now if we don't respond, now someone could get injured. So whether we respond or not, it's bad either way. And now it's because of us as a city who's implemented this mask mandate as an ordinance. And I've already said this before that, I'm not against the mask. I just think it should be a recommendation, because if you make this ordinance, the people aren't going to wear the mask. They aren't going to wear a mask because you say it's an ordinance. Just like we say don't do drugs. They're still going to do drugs, right? That's why we have a police department, because people are going to do things whether they want to, whether us as a city or a state or a federal government says you can't do something. So it's not going to change behavior, in my opinion. Maybe one or two people, or something like that, but we're not going to change the behavior of people by making a City of Neenah ordinance. I think it's better just to recommend, strongly recommend, if you will, and all the doctors did such a great job of speaking tonight. Maybe they help recommend, but we're not going to change people's minds to wear a mask, in my opinion.
All right, thank you. Alderman Steele.
Yeah, I mean, I think my intention was never to get the police involved in enforcement, as you can tell if you read the ordinance. And the mask mandate under the state was enforced for many months. And I'm wondering if, Chief Olson, if you have any reason to think that the police would be asked to intervene more now than you have over the past many months when there's been a state mandate in place.
I think I heard your question.
Should I repeat it?
I'm sorry. Maybe just repeat it one more time. I'm kind of having a hard time hearing.
So it was never my intention to ask the police to enforce this. The state has had a mask mandate in effect for many months now. And I'm wondering if it was only rescinded, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. I'm wondering if you have any reason to think that calls to the police, involvement by the police in mask disputes there would be any reason to think that those would go up with a city mandate as opposed to a state mandate?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know if it's going to go up. I know during the Safer at Home, we received a lot of phone calls about people not wearing masks or just being out in general. But really, since Safer at Home ended, we have not been receiving phone calls or any complaints about people not wearing masks. And I don't know why that is. I just fear that if we do something now as a local government agency, then people will feel that they have to wear the mask. I mean, obviously they should be wearing the mask anyway, but now we may getting more calls. And obviously, I don't know, I don't have a crystal ball, but we haven't been receiving calls and everyone's been very compliant as far as law and order. And I just fear that that won't happen if we as a city pass a city ordinance. But that's just my feeling. I can't prove that. I don't have any data that's going to say that, yes, if we do this, bad things are going to happen.
Okay, Alderman Steele. Next, I have Alderman Bates and then Alderman Borchert.
Thank you, Mayor. My question dovetails on hers is what was the number of calls, and were you able, when you did get these calls, since the language is pretty much the same, did you refer them to the public health department?
We did not. Our goal was to educate. So every time we would get a call about somebody not wearing a mask, we would respond and as politely as we could educate them on the Safer at Home order and wearing a mask. And we did not do any enforcement. We didn't refer anyone to the DA's office or the health department. It was just merely educational.
I guess what I would say is I would appreciate that if we have the public, the county health Director Gearin still online, whether or not they have staff to answer questions like this, because I would appreciate that the police have the option of just saying, the better person to contact would be this, here's their number, and that they get a hold of somebody. I don't want to see somebody like hanging there waiting for some answer for days, as opposed to, I also don't want our police officers having to get into the mix because they might not be the best best sources of information. So is Mr. Gearin still on?
I don't see him. Doug Gearing, you still on this at any way? I don't see Doug.
Darn.
I work at the health department, Winnebago County Health Department. If you'd like me to respond.
I would appreciate that, Ms. Keating.
We do take complaints and we follow up. And as Doug talked about earlier, that we are not punitive. It's like Chief Olson said, it's educational. But we have a hotline, and we are able to make sure that the caller then gets to the right person to talk to, and just provide education.
All right, thank you. I have Alderman Borchert.
Yeah, I have a question, and Alderman Steele being a physician, and I don't even know, I'm not sure if Heidi, if you could answer this question either, and this is more of a general question. I've just been kind of probably not so much about the ordinance as much. Like, what is the difference between me walking in a grocery store without a mask versus sitting in a crowded restaurant without my mask eating? And I'm not trying to debate whether we should or we shouldn't. I think what I'm hearing is so politicized that there's so much conflict or hypocrisy in how masks are used and when we can and when we can't. It's kind of dividing a lot of people. I haven't seen a lot in the last 7 or 8 days of people not wearing masks. Obviously, I'm a teacher. We're requiring masks, and kids comply really well. But I also know as soon as they leave the school building, there's 5 of them that pile in the car without masks. And so I'm seeing this as, and if Chief Olson was on board and they were going to enforce it, I would say, all right, let's put an ordinance in effect. But what we're saying is that essentially what ultimately this ordinance is doing is we're strongly suggesting that you wear a mask. And if you don't, we're going to educate you. And what I see this happening is I see people still wearing their masks. I mean, all over Neenah. I'm just seeing this as another division of someone else telling someone else to do it and creating more of a divide. And I'm not saying, I mean, I wear my mask everywhere I go, and I believe that. If I was sitting at home watching this council meeting, I would probably say, heck yeah, vote for it. But then I start to look a little bit deeper as sitting on this council and how many other people it affects and other things that are done. I agree with Alderperson Stevenson about the process of finding out from Chief Olson. If he hadn't sent that letter and understanding how much it impacts his department and his officers, again, I would probably say, sure enough. And so I'm not saying, I don't think if we don't pass it tonight that people are going to be throwing off their masks tomorrow. And I just don't, I'm tired of the politicizing, and I'm not saying, Alderperson Steele, you're doing it. I'm saying that what has come about with this issue has been very frustrating. I'm all for a strongly recommending that we continue the mask mandates. We follow the CDC guidelines when we're doing these things, but it's really hard when you see it's okay for basketball players not to wear their masks here, but then this other school does. There's so much information being flown through. I don't know if this is going to solve that issue either. So again, I'm struggling with the idea of the amount, what this ordinance will do, and if it's symbolic, without teeth.
Thank you. Alderman Steele.
Can I respond? Yeah, so I think there are some very clear differences. And so for one thing, Chief Olson is not saying that this has had a big impact on his department, and he's not suggesting that passing a mandate is going to have more impact on his department. He's saying he doesn't know. Nobody knows. We haven't done it. But he's saying that it hasn't had a huge impact on his department so far. There is a big difference, I think, between going in the grocery store and going to a restaurant. So, for instance, all of us need to buy groceries. Unless you grow all of your own food, you have to buy groceries. And we know that COVID is spread by droplets, sometimes very, very tiny droplets that stay in the air for hours. That's what masks seem to be particularly effective at stopping, is that droplet spread of COVID vaccine anyway. As far as in restaurants, of course, the same droplet spread is occurring. Now, people have a choice of going to a restaurant or not. I myself, I haven't eaten in a restaurant for a year. I've ordered takeout. I ate out on the sidewalk when there were tables out in Neenah last summer. I haven't eaten in a restaurant for a year, and for exactly that reason. But things like going to the grocery store, I got to go into the grocery store unless I order all of my groceries online. And frankly, I don't want some low-level clerk picking out which vegetables I buy. So I'm not always willing to do that. So I think there are some major differences here. Going to a professional sports game, yeah, I'm not going to do that either. That looks really risky to me. I wouldn't do that any more than I would, go into the crowded restaurant or the bar. It's just not safe. And we know that, in fact, clusters of cases these days can frequently be traced to things like bars and restaurants and big indoor parties. So we know those are vectors for disease. So I think the goal here is to try and protect as many people who are trying to just go about their daily lives doing things that they have to do. And it's not, and I think, hey, if you want to go into a crowded bar and take off your mask, well, and the bar owner is okay with that. And frankly, of course, you can't drink and eat without, with wearing a mask. So, it's not great because you're endangering, of course, everybody else if you get sick and you are then asymptomatic for days before you come down with symptoms, you may have spread this disease considerably. I don't need to go into all of that. But I think there are some real differences here. I think people did follow the mask mandate of the state to large degree. Now, obviously, there were some businesses who made a point of flouting it. Frankly, those of us who care were pretty quickly spreading the information on social media, which businesses were acting in a safe manner and which were not. I think this does speak to the benefit to the public of knowing that a mask mandate is enforced for an entire town. I think it protects people. If I'm elderly, if I have major health problems, how am I going to know before I walk into a store whether that store is going to be a safe place for me to shop in or not? I mean, you can try calling ahead. People don't know though. So I think this is a no-brainer, but I'm a physician. What can I say?
City Attorney, you have a comment or?
No, I just want to say, if you read G, the non-compliance section, it's 2 paragraphs. I think it sets out very clearly what enforcement this has, and without getting into details about what that is, if you read those 2 paragraphs, I think it is very clear what this, how this enforcement of this ordinance would work. That addresses Alderman Borchert's question.
Comments or questions? Go ahead, Alderman Hillstrom.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess there's one side of this nobody's talked about this evening, and I was vice president of a small business for many years, and we wore our masks. I believe in wearing masks, but we've had no input from any businesses this evening on what their opinion is on this issue. Whether it's a grocery store, hardware store, small business, or whatever. I think it's unfair of us to make rules that govern them without getting their opinion on this. I know I've been in a local store when somebody walked in without a mask, and there was a young female clerk that went over to him and said he has to wear a mask, and they started arguing about it. And, he eventually walked out, but she was quite shaken. I'm guessing a lot of stores don't want their personnel going after people.
Everyone just make sure they talk into their microphone. That's
so,
okay.
I guess my opinion would be this needs to go to committee and be discussed, and businesses need to have some input on what we're doing that governs them.
All right, thank you. I did get a text here, well, and I don't know who it is because they didn't give me a name, but they said all 6 employees at our business are vaccinated. The CDC says if all the people are vaccinated, you don't have to wear your mask. How would you respond to that, Alderman Steele?
I would say that none of us know. There's no tattoo or, that goes across someone's forehead to say whether they're vaccinated or not. I, too, feel relatively comfortable these days being in a space where I know the only other people in with me are vaccinated, but I don't know that when I walk into a store. I don't know who the other patrons are. I don't know who else has been in there recently. To Alderman Hillstrom, I would say that all this does is puts businesses back on the same level playing field that they were on before. And frankly, the sooner we get this virus under control, the sooner businesses are going to be able to flourish again in this community. This has not been easy on businesses, and it's not government that's damaged businesses, it's a pandemic. And the only way to get the pandemic under control is to control the virus, not reduce interventions to try and slow the virus.
Alderman Boyette.
I have all kinds of things I want to comment and ask questions and read and everything else. And I think Alderman Hillstrom said it best. He believes that it should go to a committee where we can do just that. And so if it's appropriate, I'd like to make a motion. Well,
You can move to amend.
in having this go back to either a committee of the whole or a committee or something, because like I said, I could probably give you a half hour worth of what I want to know. And then there's 9 of us.
I guess I would ask city attorney, I'm the parliamentarian around here, right? Motion to refer is appropriate at any time.
Well, you can move to amend. If I may, I don't know if it's parliamentary allowed or not, but we have had motions on the floor which have, based on the discussion that happens on the floor, determined there was additional information that could best be handled in a committee setting, and a motion to amend the motion to defer to committee has taken place and has been voted on. Now, whether that's legal or not, I don't know, but.
That is, Robert. If you.
Yeah.
You can make a motion to amend a motion
So you're
on the
not
floor.
amending the motion.
Or
The
amending
motion to defer.
right. That's, yeah.
So what would I need to say to try and amend the motion to include that we take it to a committee of some type? Whether it be a cow or PSNA or whatever.
Looking it up right now.
Okay, thank you.
I don't think that you're amending the motion. I think it's a separate action.
Correct, which is what he's looking at.
I mean.
It's a weird situation,
It makes
so.
no sense. I've been doing this a long time, and it doesn't make me an expert. I look forward to your help, but you're not doing anything to the motion, to the substance of that motion by amending the motion. So you're a separate motion of referring something, tabling. You can make a motion of tabling while there's a motion on the floor. So you can make a motion for tabling while there's a motion on the floor. You can make a motion of referral while there's a motion on the floor. I am pretty confident of that, but I'm going to let Adam look at it real quickly and tell me that, give me his advice, but I'm pretty sure that that's happened a lot around here, that there's been motions on and then information has come up, or questions have come up, and during the course of that motion, we have made a motion to refer. And I'm not, saying that we should do that. I'm just saying, based upon her inquiry, that's the case. But we'll take a minute here to look at the rule, what Adam believes the rule is, before we make a determination. I should have probably brought my rule book up here tonight.
So you could make a motion to refer back to committee.
I think.
But it didn't come from a.
I know, but it didn't.
So what committee would we?
Make a motion to refer to a committee.
Right. It would go to Public Services and Safety. Yeah.
Well,
That's the,
I think that's the correct answer, is that a motion to refer to a committee is always in order. And you have to dispense with that, and then you go back to the main motion. Alderman Steele, go ahead.
I mean, didn't we vote, though, on allowing a vote tonight? So referring to committee would be what it would automatically have done, and we voted to allow a vote. So if it were to, if we have a vote and it fails, then yes, referring it to a committee would be the appropriate thing to do. But we just voted to allow it to go forth without being referred to a committee.
So what you said is correct, that if you voted it down, it could go to committee, but your vote was to suspend rules to allow a vote on it. It does not necessitate that there must be a vote on it.
Okay.
It just allows that you could take a vote on it today if you wanted to.
So with that being said,
Alderperson Bates.
I
Boyette
would
has-
call, so Alderman Boyette, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to refer this to Public Service and Safety Committee for more discussion.
All right, Alderman Boyette moves to refer this item to the Public Service and Safety Committee.
Second.
Is there a second? There's a
Second.
second. Now the motion now becomes a referral to committee, and discussion is allowed. Alderman Lindrum.
Thank you, Mayor. That was my first reaction tonight, can you hear me? Okay. That I wanted to also refer it to Public Services and Safety. And then I had a chance to take a breath and think about it. And what I'm concerned about, and I think this is a very valid concern, is that if we do this, and I'm not saying this is good or bad, I'm just saying there will be probably, I would say, it'll hit the press. I would guess we would have to move it into here. And after all the discussion, we have a lot of really smart people in this town, a lot of smart experts. We will still not agree, and we will not be able to come to a conclusion. And I think that bringing it to Public Services and Safety will make people very upset, even more than making the decision tonight. And I hate saying that because I know I've never not wanted something to go back to committee, never, since 2011. This is the only time I think it is a bad idea. We're not going to change each other's minds. And frankly, I think it is going to become a problematic situation on that night. Thank you.
Alderman Boyette?
If I may address some of what was said. May I address some of what was just said?
Go ahead.
Thank you. First of all, I'm not looking for anyone to change anyone's mind. I'm looking for more opportunity for information and clarification, because right now we're being told that the police department doesn't or hasn't really been enforcing this, and the Board of Health has something on hold because of the Winnebago County tabling theirs. So with all due respect, we haven't had this in a committee to refer it back to. That this is simply going to a committee where I feel it should have started in the beginning, and then when it came to us, we would have already surpassed all of those steps and had the information to make an educated vote this evening. And I just feel that, like I said in my statement earlier, I have probably my own 30 minutes or plus of questions and statements and whatnot that I would like addressed on this. And I'm not looking to change anyone's mind. I'm looking for information. So that's all I'd like to say about that.
Alderman Steele, did you have your hand up or not? Sorry.
Oh, I probably did at some point, but now I guess, yeah, I mean, I guess I can just speak and say that we didn't have a lot of notice. We got a Supreme Court decision, and I did not have a lot of time to present this. I feel it has great urgency. I can't express that enough. So I think you've heard a lot of people talk tonight. I think Chief Olson has a theoretical concern, but as far as I can tell, no historical reason to think that this is going to be any more of a problem for his department than it was in the preceding many months that the state mandate was enforced. We are not asking the police department to do anything that they were not previously doing. So I think all of the mechanisms are in place still to provide the education if people are not following the mandate. We're not asking for anything different than that. Yeah, and we have a health crisis that's still ongoing, and we have nowhere near herd immunity yet.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments before we vote on the motion to refer? I don't get a vote on this. I was going to stay out of it. I'm going to, and I'm just going to say a couple things here. And I listened to the comments tonight. I listened from Alderman Borchert, and the polarization and the politicizing of this whole issue is just beside me this whole time. And Alderman Steele's right. I mean, the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, they acted, and you can agree with it or not agree with it, but they're the highest court in the land, and they acted last week. So Alderman Steele contacted me immediately and asked to do something, and I explained to her how to get this done if she feels passionately about it. And that's her job and role, and I understand that, and that's fine with me. I'm a strong supporter of vaccinations. Everyone I see and tell, I firmly believe we're going to get our way out of this through vaccinations. It miffs me a little bit that the experts that Alderman Lundgren talks about, there's no mandatory vaccination of theta care employees. The hospitals themselves aren't mandating it. You know, we're going to mandate something here, and we're going to mandate a mask. The hospitals know that, tell us that the healthcare professionals tell us that masks work and that vaccinations work. Well, if vaccinations work, you know, mandate it in the healthcare field. I'm in the healthcare field. I sit in the back of an ambulance for 32 minutes driving to Shawano Medical with a COVID patient, probably in the back. I don't know that they're a COVID patient, but I sure have my druthers that they're suspicions that they're a COVID patient. And you know what? I take precautions. I put on my blue surgical mask, and I put a mask like this over the top of it, and I put a face shield on. So I take my precautions. And it just grinds me a little bit that, you know, our healthcare system, they tell everyone that vaccinations would be the best and masks are the best, and then they're not following through on vaccination. That's just me, but, and I know that mandatory vaccinations are controversial and all that. I get all that. Alderman Hillstrom brings up the fact, and I think someone else brought it up, that because there was not a lot of time, you have to admit, a lot of people didn't know about this. A lot of small businesses, a lot of people who have really suffered the last year because of people not going out, people not coming to their establishment. And they're hurting, and they want to get open, and they want to take precautions. And this community, we're going to have fireworks. We're going to have the swimming pool open. We're going to have hot lot program going on. 2,600 people signed up for activities this summer. Today was the first day, and people are yearning to get their kids back into programs. And you know what? We're going to do it, but we're going to make darn sure we're taking whatever precautions that we can to do it as safely as possible. And so, you know, I saw the headline in the Post-Crescent, and it generated a few, 8 emails and 2 phone calls to me. And I shared them with you guys, or I shared them. And what it did generate, though, is a whole heck of a lot of vile, vicious discussions on Facebook and social media, and attack businesses, attack business owners, attacked me as a business owner. I guarantee all my employees have been wearing masks. There's very few businesses in Neenah in the hospitality industry that are wearing masks. There's businesses in the small businesses downtown and throughout the community that are wearing masks. I believe people are wearing masks, but not too many people knew about tonight to be here for the other side or to talk about the other side. So, you know, I'm just saying that to me that's a little bit of a problem. Mayor Wolford from Appleton, it's somewhat kind of ludicrous to have Outagamie County do a mask ordinance that doesn't include Appleton. The largest city in the county is exempted from it. People traverse. They come from Buchanan. They come from Grand Chute to work here. And these things don't stop at the border. So ultimately, it'd be great to have a county or a statewide thing. I get it. And politics is probably entering into it where it ain't going to happen. But what I fear is the decimation of our businesses, the attacks, the people that believe in masks, God love them. I wear my mask all over. I've had people tell me they're not, take your mask off. No, I'm going to wear the mask. I'm fully vaccinated, but I'm going to wear the mask. And the emotions run so high that I think the chief's right. I think there's going to be problems. There's going to be outbursts. There's going to be situations that are going to get out of hand. Mayor Wolford and I talked about this a little bit, and he was going with a strongly worded health advisory. And I've been telling everyone I talk to, when I talk to WHBY and when I do things, I tell people, wear your masks, especially when you're in groups. Take all the precautions that they tell you to, the 6 feet, the washing of hands, all that kind of stuff. But Easter, you know, the buffets were full all over the county because families were gathering in that. They were making that decision. I don't know what the answer is about these variants and all that, but it's something that I hope none of us ever have to deal with in our lives, and I don't want anyone to die from this or to be hospitalized. And you know, I got a niece right now who's struggling with it, and she's having a tough time. And so it gets to you, and I don't want anyone in my family, but we don't have the whole picture here. Winnebago County, they talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk either. And it's frustrating to have this hodgepodge of ordinances and things around the area. And it's sad because so much of it is just pure politics. And I've been in that game, and I don't want to be in it anymore. I think people will vote with their feet. Those that have strong opinions, they will say, I'm not going to, someone who's not using good precautions, they're going to go somewhere else. They're going to go somewhere else for their groceries. They're going to go somewhere else for their fish fry or their loaves of bread or whatever. But there may be some people on the other side who say, I'm not going to go in there because they make me wear this mask, and I don't believe it. But we are going to create conflict, more than likely. So that's and I don't get a say in this, so I don't know, but I felt like I had to be heard out, and I think Alderman Hillstrom's comments kind of touched me a little bit because we really haven't given that other side the opportunity to tell us what they would like. And I respect, a physician and the knowledge that you have on this issue and the fact that that you're so passionate about it. And so this is not an easy answer. It's probably over the head that we usually deal with. So that's what I wanted to say. Alderman Lang, then Alderman Lindrum.
I just have a question regarding the fact that a lot of comments are popping up from the online participants, but we don't get to see them. We see them very briefly, and they're communicating.
Earlier tonight, I asked that.
How do we get a record of that?
Earlier tonight, I asked, that's when I handed him the note that said, I want those comments preserved. So, is that okay?
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of inequitable because Marge Bates is able to see them and we're not. We can only see them for the second that they're on, but she can.
Marge, that's very unfair.
Marge can see everything that.
She's the keeper of the chat.
So the comments will be preserved, but
Just to let you know, I just corrected one person on standard Robert's Rules of Order, and that's all I've ever done.
Okay. I'm just feeling disadvantaged here because we don't get to see any of those comments.
Yeah, and I did pass him a note very early on saying that I wanted to preserve those comments so that we could see them.
but it would be out of order to interact with the comments.
Right.
Because much like people can't just speak here, there should not be interaction between the comments and the council.
Exactly.
But one council member is. It's awkward.
Oh, yeah. So I appreciate that comment. I'm going to go to the author of the bill before I go to Alderman Ledrum. Alderman Steele?
Yeah, I mean, I have to respond to a couple of things, Mayor. First of all, it's much harder to legislate that you must, to force someone to put something in their body than it is to mandate a completely 100% absolutely harmless intervention like wearing masks. Because we all know there are some individuals who have unusual vaccine reactions. There are some very, very rare vaccine reactions. Everybody knows it. Anyone who tells you that any vaccine is 100% safe is lying to you, because that vaccine has not been invented yet. So you can't, to my mind, that's unethical to legislate that someone put something in their body. A mask is 100% safe. There is no risk to anyone from wearing a mask. It is only going to protect them and protect the people around them. So those are not apples to apples. That's an apple to orange kind of thing. And in some ways, yeah, would it be nice? Yeah, maybe so, but it ain't happening. Not now, not ever, not with any disease. So I had to respond to that.
Excuse me, there are people that we make accommodations for masks too, asthma patients and things like that.
Well, you could if you want to, but let's just put it this way, there's no medical
Okay.
reason for that.
We've done it though, but
That's fine,
apologize.
that's your choice, there's no medical reason for that.
Okay, thank you.
So, and then I just have to say that of course businesses are suffering, and I just have to keep coming back to this. Businesses will recover again when we have this pandemic under control. We have another spike in this, it's going to damage businesses again. I mean, I've said that before. I will stop now. But it's not masking that's damaging businesses. It's a pandemic that's damaging businesses.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Alderman Lundrum.
Thank you, Mayor. I think it is, I'll be voting against this amendment, referring it back to Public Services and Safety. I think it's really inappropriate to send it back to that committee. It may seem appropriate, but to me, the only appropriate committee is an emergency committee of the whole. To send it back to Public Services and Safety without everyone there makes no sense to me. And I know we can schedule an emergency committee of the whole.
So Mayor, is that a friendly amendment?
Pardon me?
Is that a friendly amendment?
Only friendly if the author of the amendment.
Well, I made the
entertain
motion.
it, but-
So are you amending?
Well, I mean, that's a pretty drastic friendly amendment. Usually friendly amendments are, slight modifications of a motion. This is referring it completely to a completely different committee.
Yeah, but you keep saying sending it back, and it's not sending it back because it was never there.
Okay, sending it to, if you would like me to change my wording,
So I
is
think-
still inappropriate for
Alderman
Public
Lundgren,
Services.
the question is that a formal motion to amend? To amend the current motion on the floor to, instead of sending it back to Public Services and Safety, to send it to a committee of the whole. And if that is a formal motion, then Alderman Boyette, as the author, can say it's a friendly amendment. That was.
I struggle with that too, because I don't want it to go to either one. I don't think it needs to. So I am struggling with both. If I had a crystal ball and I knew it was, if I had a crystal ball and I knew somehow, some way it was, that I could read all of your minds and all of you are saying, I don't want to do it tonight, I want to go to committee, that would be great, but I don't have that crystal ball. And if I had a crystal ball, if I had a choice, it is totally inappropriate to send it to Public Services and Safety. So I'm going to hold off for a minute. Let somebody else talk.
Is there anyone else who has anything?
Can I just ask a procedure question?
Sure. Alderman Steele and then Alderman Bates after
Sorry.
that.
So I'm sorry, but why didn't I have to approve of Alderman Boyette's amendment as whether it was a friendly amendment or not?
Wasn't a
Her motion was not a motion to amend, and that was what took me a little bit.
Okay.
Because an amendment is not sending it to committee. An amendment is literally amending just the motion or the ordinance, the motion on the table.
Okay, thank you.
It's a total separate.
Okay.
Alderman Bates, you have a question? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question for the city attorney. If it is sent to an emergency committee of the whole, at that point, can it be passed? Or is this another one that would have to be referred back to council to do something with it? Or can you make an emergency council meeting as well?
Yeah, I would think it needs to go back to council. But it could be, we've done it before where the committee and the whole and the council are the same day, the same meeting, but the committee of the whole can't pass an ordinance, I don't think.
Okay.
I don't think you can go pass an ordinance from a committee of the whole.
Right.
But that's not to say you couldn't do that and have a subsequent meeting. Alderman Borchert.
I am going to vote to send this back to whichever committee we decide. And then I am going to recommend in the meantime that Mayor Dean write a strongly worded recommended or would really like people in Neenah to follow still wearing masks. I feel that that is the same, less political, that is the same as what this ordinance would do. And I think coming from you, Dean, a respected person in this community, and having that, that's something that I would be proposing, and just want to, I'm still struggling with the difference between a strongly worded suggestion and an ordinance based on what will be the outcome if someone disobeys that ordinance.
Alderman Boyett?
If I could, I want to just read a little bit of an email that I received from a corporation in Calumet County. It was dated April 6th, and it says that, basically because of the Supreme Court decision, that this corporation was no longer going to require or mandate their employees to wear the facial coverings because the Board of Health for Calumet County is not doing that. And as a result of that, they are saying it is not mandated within their company. However, they are still advising that their employees keep themselves safe and wear the masks. And so into what Alderman Borkhardt had just said, I think that was pretty much what this large corporation was saying. They have over 3,000 employees on multiple shifts throughout their multiple buildings that they have in their corporation locally. And I mean, they didn't have a shutdown because of COVID outbreak. They didn't have, 400 plus people that were affected by it. There was a small handful of people that were affected by it. And so somehow, some way, this is a large corporation that has employees from all over the valley and then some congregating there to go to work for 8 to 10 hours a day and traveling back to their communities, and didn't expose anyone or didn't create another outbreak. And so for them to follow the guidelines of their county health board and then just simply advise their employees that it was not mandated any longer, but that it was strongly advised. So I just wanted to share that.
Anyone else? Excuse me. Pretty much, Alderman Bates, just, pretty much weekly. I think this Friday, Theta Care, along with Dr. Andrabi, is having another one of their updates from the Theta Care system, and I attend each and every one of those. We are part of the Wear Your Mask group organizations.
Promoters.
Pardon?
Promoters.
Promoting the use of masks. Originally, my name wasn't on the signatory for some reason, and I corrected that. And we are one of the communities that do that. I don't want to speak for Dr. Andrabi or anything. I know we had some health professionals on here tonight, along with one on our council, who believe that this. But I will say this: the last time we had a meeting, they all told us that things are getting better. We're seeing light at the end of the tunnel, but we can't let our guard down. We have to continue to do the things that we've been doing, and one of them is wearing masks. And we have another meeting Friday, and so I'll be attending that meeting in the morning and listening. I think I've invited Alderman Stevenson at times to listen in and see what our local health, because I do have a lot of confidence in their decision making, and so maybe we'll gather some more information Friday. Alderman Bates.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just let you know I am not looking at the chat anymore. It's building up in comments, but these are things I remembered. Several of the speakers tonight mentioned that businesses would be on an even playing field and they would not have to justify that their mask ban is themselves. They would just say this is what is, and that would be easier on the businesses. And the second thing I wanted to say is Neenah led with the smoking ban. We didn't wait for the county. We didn't wait for anybody. This smoking ban was up and down all over the place. We took the lead. It was a health situation for our own people, and we knew people could go elsewhere and do different things, but we started it here, and we were a leader in that, and it worked well with the state as well, so I hope we continue.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? If there's no one else, there's a motion.
Okay, I'll do my friendly amendment.
Pardon me?
I'll do my friendly amendment, if you don't mind.
Is it friendly?
It's friendly.
Okay.
It's only friendly if you accept it.
Well, let's see. Maybe she won't accept it. I would like to propose, if I may, Mayor.
Go ahead, state your motion.
Okay. I would like to propose a friendly amendment to Alderman Boyette's amendment.
It was
Just a referral to committee and take it from Public Services and Safety Committee to an emergency committee of the whole scheduled as soon as possible.
Can I ask a question before I accept?
Sure.
You have to second.
Well, I'm curious because she wants it to go to a cow, which is fine, but then we were just advised that we would still have to go out of a cow to a council meeting.
Which
So-
we could schedule that night too.
So
can
then
do
we're
whatever
putting
we
it back
want.
2 weeks or more.
No, we can schedule an emergency committee, council right after the cow.
Who schedules a council meeting? I do, correct? So I would make the decision when the council meeting would be scheduled.
But it's possible, if you did proclaim,
Right.
we could do an emergency council right after.
I would
An
accept
emergency.
that as long as that's the reason, that's what happens. I want to make sure that they happen together.
Yep, that
Can you
sounds
give me
good.
that?
I don't want to be the reason this gets prolonged because
Right.
I need more time and more information, and I think the public needs more time.
But it's fair that we do this as a whole group, not just one committee.
There's a second.
If it's a friendly amendment, Alderman Boyette's going to change your motion to a cow at a time specific
Yeah,
and
you're
needs
right.
the approval of the second. Is that correct?
You accepting that friendly amendment or not?
Yes.
All right.
Who seconded it?
No one.
Don't have to if she accepting it as a friendly amendment.
Somebody accepted the motion to amend, her motion to amend,
Yeah.
correct?
You did.
I
I'm gonna
didn't,
ask
okay, well
that
then
next.
that's fine.
And then you need to.
It's gotta be
accept it too.
approved by both.
Yes.
The-
Well,
the-
the motion to amend has to be approved. So, I may. And then I mean, assuming this is going to want, because all council members are invited and able to participate, not as aggressively. Let me finish before you start turning your head at me. All council members, they're public meetings, all council members are able to attend any standing committee meeting. They're not allowed to vote. So if we want to improve on the timing compared to our next week's Tuesday night session of the Public Services and Safety Committee meeting, you're going to have to tell me when all 9 of us can get together.
How about the night of Public Services and Safety?
I'm there.
You have 5 of the
Yeah.
9 people guaranteed that are going to be there then.
Can we take a poll before we vote? I mean,
Sure. But I think I'm not my meeting to run.
I can't be there. I'm going out of.
Alderman Boyette, this is your motion. What would you like it to say?
Well, who from the Finance Committee could meet on next Tuesday night? Who cannot?
It's the 13th, Tuesday the 13th.
I teach a class to 6:30. I could come
Yeah,
later.
there's one.
Well, no, she said until 6:30. She could come right after. We could schedule it at 6:30.
I could do it, but you're going to be doing all of these after Public Service and Safety Committee, so we're still looking at 11 o'clock evening. And then people have to go to work, their day jobs.
We've done it before.
You get paid the same rate.
Yeah, we've done it many times.
Just putting it out there.
It's our job.
It's your motion. You decide.
It's our job.
Well,
What about what?
you know, during A motion isn't time to be taking a poll here, so,
Well, only,
Well, we're trying to-
only if the intent of the motion is to speed up the
Right.
productivity
Yeah.
and the efficiency of dealing with the issue,
Yeah, that's what I'm
which is
trying to do.
what I think we're trying to do.
Yeah.
So to better serve that, I'd like to get a feel for who, I mean, if we're going to change it to committee of the whole, I'm responsible for scheduling that. So I want to know who can be there and who can't. That's all.
So can you?
I can be there.
Okay.
What about Monday?
I can't, I'm out of town. I'm driving back from Ohio on Tuesday.
That's
And I might be back if it follows regular public services and safety, I might have a fighting chance of being there.
Well, you
which
could
is
do-
really ugly for the next day for me, but
You could do a Zoom.
not when I'm driving. Yeah. I mean,
I think
could,
all,
but
I think all of our committee meetings are still Zoom or go to meetings.
Is this for next week?
Yes, I'm sorry.
The 13th.
This is for next week, and all of our committee meetings are still by go to meeting, right? Unless that's changed.
Right.
So they're all go to meetings anyway.
That's true.
well, but on the other hand, if the possibility exists for a lot of business owners, a lot of public, a lot of both sides, so you may not, in order to control the meeting a little bit better and allow for better input, you might want to have that meeting in person here.
What about Wednesday night?
I mean, we had a lot of difficulty understanding one of the people tonight that was
So what about Wednesday night when we
Trying
don't
to-
have a large,
trying to talk to us about an
Meeting
issue,
already.
and I don't want that to happen. Dan, I think if you're gonna do this, it should probably be in person and here, is my suggestion, because
okay, I accept
I
it.
had a very difficult time.
I accept the amendment, yeah.
On Tuesday?
Yeah. Or Wednesday or whatever. I don't care what night, I'll be there.
I could do Wednesday.
You do for the council meeting. You do for the council meeting that they're talking about having afterwards.
We could do Wednesday too. I mean, none of this is carved in stone. This is unprecedented, but we have control.
Council has to make this decision.
Can I
Wednesday
also
work?
just ask a quick question? When does the new council person get sworn in? And yours truly?
2 Tuesdays, or
Two
2 Mondays.
Tuesdays.
2 Mondays.
20th?
Okay,
April
okay.
20th.
Okay.
It's Tuesday.
Well, you guys get to see me one more week then. Lucky you.
We know that.
Already did it. Yes, sir, I already did it.
So can someone read the motion to me, or to us? Everyone understands what it is?
It's a motion to refer this ordinance to an emergency COW to be followed directly by a council meeting.
With scheduling to be decided either Tuesday and Wednesday. Can I just throw that in there?
Well, the one thing is, the author of the resolution, we got to accommodate that schedule. And I think I just heard probably Wednesday would be the first day.
Well, I mean, I'd say Monday I could probably arrange to be at some place where I'd have internet. Tuesday I'm going to be driving, and that's going to, until I get back,
Exactly,
that's going to
but-
be rough.
So
Probably
if you
Monday
make-
or Wednesday would be
If
better
you
for
make the
me.
motion, we can try and figure out a day later.
That sounds good.
The motion has been made.
Pardon?
The motion's been made,
Without a date, correct?
correct?
I'm going to accept that motion then. The person who seconded the original motion, who was that?
Well, the amended, or the motion to defer was seconded by me.
That okay with
Yep.
All right, so both the person who made the motion and the second have agreed to accept the amendment as a friendly motion. So that's the motion. Clerk, please state the motion.
State the motion, you said? To the amended or the final?
The motion they're
Okay.
voting on.
To amend the motion to refer it, instead of public service and safety, to an emergency COW followed directly by a council meeting.
City Attorney, we're not amending any motion, correct? It's a total separate motion that says she's referring this.
Right, because it was a friendly amendment, you don't need to vote on the amending of the motion, but you need to vote on the original, which is now an amended motion. So the vote is to send this to an emergency cow to be immediately followed by a council meeting.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're all clear and on the same book here. All right, so there's a motion and a second. All in favor of that motion to send it, as stated by the clerk, to send it to an emergency cow, which for those listening is a committee of the whole, which is an invitation for all council members to be there. Will vote aye. All opposed will vote no as your name is called by the clerk.
Alderperson Erickson,
Aye.
Stevenson,
Aye.
Boyette,
Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
Lang,
Aye.
Lendrum,
Aye.
Borchert,
Aye.
Hillstrom,
Aye.
and Steele.
No.
Motion carries.
That's fair.
That motion carries. We will send this issue to a committee of the whole meeting, and I'll be in contact with the council president. And
Well, if I could ask, if council members tonight could send me their available dates next week, that would be extremely expeditious.
Alderman Erickson?
I have a question. Since we would all be together, could we just do it, instead of having a committee of the whole and a council meeting, could we have an emergency council meeting and just do it, take care of it in that one time? Do we have to have a committee of the whole and a council meeting, or could we just do an emergency council meeting?
Because it's already been done as a committee of the whole and council, you could do it that way, but you can also schedule the council meeting to convene immediately following the committee of the whole. So in practice, it would only be one meeting. It would just be noticed as two separate meetings,
Okay,
if that makes sense.
just makes it simpler to be.
Okay. So anyways, okay, well, this is a long discussion, and I tell you, I appreciate this. These are the types of things that still set us apart. We argue a little bit. We do it respectfully. Nobody gets too much out of hand or anything like some of our neighbors in communities. We argue a little bit and we talk about it, and we all have different opinions on this. I mean, your husband, your wife may have difference of opinions. So there's no right or wrong answer on this, and we're all passionate about it, and we will see what next week brings. So thank you very much for that. So that's referred by a vote of 8-1. That's referred to a committee of the whole. So then we will go to any announcements or questions that may legally come before the council. So I know it's late, but I think some people have earned their stripes, so to speak, around here, and we need to take a moment or two just to say thank you to some folks. I would like to congratulate the newly elected folks, Alderperson-elect Skirms. Congratulations. And
his first.
He's like, thanks, can I rescind my...
Are you declining the victory after?
He hasn't taken the oath yet.
Run, John.
You're allowed to change your mind one time.
Welcome. Lock the door, lock the door.
But I'd also like to say thank you to Alderman Spellman, who elected not to run for re-election, and thank her for her service to the city of Neenah and to the county. What else did I have? I did want to say, before we get into one last item, we did have a very nice presentation today and a ribbon cutting at St. Vincent de Paul, and some of the aldermen attended. I will tell you that they are going to fill a necessary void in this community with a food pantry. They have a frozen department, they have a refrigerated department, and I got to see milk and eggs and bacon and hot dogs and ramen noodles and all the things necessary to help some of these folks. And I don't think I've ever ate ramen noodles, so I don't think I have. But a lot of paper products, which a lot of people need. So I just want to say thank you to Judy Zaretsky as the president of that board for filling a need and a void in the community. And it's a job very well done by St. Vincent de Paul. So thank you very much for that. My last thing, I'm going to first turn it over before I make a statement to Alderman Stevenson for a presentation.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, as we've heard during the multiple discussions that we've had this evening, that this is Alderperson Steele's last official council meeting. Well, no, it's not now. So maybe I should defer till next week. No, we'll get it done now. While your length of time of service here hasn't been real long, the influences and the ideas and the passion that you've brought of those ideas to the Common Council and to the citizens of Neenah is very much appreciated. We know that you've worked hard to balance a career both professionally and publicly with your job and the citizens of Neenah. And on behalf of the citizens of Neenah, we want to thank you and your family for you taking the time to do that. So we have a plaque for you that says, "We, the Common Council, those present, the Neenah City staff, and the citizens of Neenah, honor Danae Steele, Neenah alderperson from 2018 to 2021, served on Finance and Personnel Committee, Committee on Rules, and the Joint Review Board. So in appreciation of those 3 years of faithful public service, thank you to you and your family for what you've given this community."
Thank you very much, Council President Stevenson, and I too would like to echo that and say, you know what, your time here, 3 years, is a wonderful commitment, and but what you brought to this council was pretty always positive, and it was a pleasure having you as part of this council, and we all wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors, and got some really great kids, and we've got to see them online, and it's been a lot of fun. So we've met a lot of cats this year and dogs and your children, and so it's been great. So thank you very much for everything. And then we also have one more person that I want to say a few words to, and I didn't tip Adam off on this. I forgot. And Adam, if you'd like to add anything, but this also we thought was going to be the last meeting for another person in City Hall, and that's our clerk, Stephanie Cheslock. It may or may not be now. Well, no, it still will be. I'm sorry. I apologize. We thought you'd have to stay to see this to completion.
I'd like to make an amendment.
There's an amendment that Stephanie has to come and clerk that meeting. But I do want to publicly say that once again, the time here may have been short, but the contributions were very big. And when you think of what the clerk's office has had to deal with over the past 2 elections or 3 elections, however many it was, it seems like we go from election to election. We've had our moments, but I tell you, and Stephanie has persevered. She has come through a lot of adversity with these elections. These elections are not easy right now. And she has worked her heart out. And with all the difficulty about elections nationwide and the people, citizens asking questions, I can tell you one thing. This clerk and our former clerk, the one thing that they brought to elections was integrity and honesty and running a fair election and making sure that every vote counted. And so I just wanted to take a minute to publicly thank Stephanie Cheslock, who will be moving on to the city of Appleton, as I understand it, and wish you the very best in your new endeavor. Adam, do you want to?
No, I'll talk to her in 5
All right. So So thank you very much. We don't have a plaque, but, you know, but thank you. Thank you very, very much. And then that's, lastly, as long as we got the cameras still on, I do want to, the council's got, well, I think it's important that we were just served with another injunction on Lakeshore Drive. The council knows that. They got the memo, I think, right, Adam?
On the news.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, sorry about that, but we got served with, we notified the neighbors, and I want you to know this, and I want the community to know this, because it generates a lot of phone calls to my office, it generates a lot of emails, and when I'm out and about, I'm getting these questions. But we notified the neighborhood that we were going to begin construction or continue construction of Lakeshore Drive. And almost immediately got slapped with another court restraining order to the court. And so if you get questions, there will now be another restraining order that the judge has to take up, and I believe that's Friday, Adam? Or there's a hearing or something? Can you explain what's going on so that people know?
Sure. There's a status hearing on Friday. There's a brand new judge. Judge Seifert retired. So the current judge that's going to hear this is brand new to the case, doesn't know anything about it. So Friday's just a telephone conference for us to get the judge up to speed. The actual motion hearing for the restraining order will most likely be in the next 2 to 3 weeks. The judge could on Friday tell us we have to wait to start any work until that motion hearing, or she could allow us to continue to work. As it stands currently, we're allowed to continue to work because we've already won. So
I just thought it was important that in case you get questions on what's going on, that's what's going on. Because it seemed to be getting generated now that the weather's getting better, the road is atrocious. I mean, in rough shape right now, sorry, but it is, and not much we can do about it. And that's not a criticism. It's, you know, a brand new truck. I tested out the shocks on Easter Sunday, but it's a little frustrating. So, but I just wanted to update you. Okay. So, anyone else have anything for the good of the order? Stephanie saying no. The mayor has talked enough. Well, thank you all very much for tonight, and as our motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Numerous motions to adjourn.
Second.
By Borkerchert, seconded by Boyette. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all very, very much.
Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.